Hey everyone, it's Mike with 30A, and I have the pleasure of being here with Dhiru Thadani. Dhiru is an architect, new urbanist, town planner, author, lecturer. You've written books, including one that's particularly relevant today, Visions of Seaside.
Right.
And so we're in Seaside, Florida, and most of our fans probably know where that is, but Dhiru, a lot of the vision has been evolving for 35 years in Seaside, and some of that evolution continues even today, and I think people view Seaside as something that's been completed, but that's far from the truth.
That's correct. Every master plan has to be reevaluated every 5 years or at some frequency, and you got to look at it, and it's almost like doing a post-occupancy evaluation. Look at it, see what works, what doesn't work, and then adjust the plan.
Okay.
And master plan's not frozen in time, or should not be frozen in time, because who would have thought we would have autonomous vehicles 30 years ago?
Yeah.
And that's going to change, how the master plan has to change to meet those requirements.
Right. So a lot of people are very familiar with the post office that really created a sense of place for Seaside all those years ago. But one of the changes that's coming, I think, that will catch people off guard until they understand the thinking behind it, is the post office is preparing to move.
That's right. So the post office, the location of the post office was always a temporary location.
Okay.
It was a placeholder for the Seaside Tower, which was designed by Leon Creer. And the post office is actually the most photographed building in Seaside.
It's probably one of the most photographed post offices in the world,
probably,
really.
Yes. And more people have their photograph taken in front of it because it really makes a place, you understand. So it's going to be quite a drastic change, but I think the tower, when it's built, will be just as iconic. Mm-hmm. The post office was never intended for that site where it currently sits, and the post office had been moved once before forward. It was further back in the Central Square, and it was moved once, and now it's going to move again, probably in the next 3 months, beginning of the year. And it's going to be located right here by Seaside Avenue.
Right, so guys, we are at Central Square Records, right here above Sundog Books, on the well-known Seaside Square, and right to my right here is where the post office is going to be moved. You probably recognize it where the ATM is, between where we are now at Central Square Records and Modica Market. And that's just one of the things, though. You're kind of talking about the evolution. It all has to happen in stages. So why is it being moved beyond just bringing the tower? What other changes can we expect to see in Seaside?
Well, when the tower is under construction, you're going to have limited use of the green space, the Central Square itself.
Amphitheater.
The amphitheater.
Right.
So we need to have another location for those events, which happen almost every day in the summertime. And that's going to be in the Lyceum grounds. And so we're building an amphitheater space in the Lyceum, which is currently under construction, which will be the substitute space when the construction starts on the tower.
So the Lyceum, for those of you who don't know, is a lawn that is by the Seaside Institute as well as the Seaside Neighborhood School, which is right behind the main plaza. It's a functional school. I remember when my kids went there, people would say, "Is this a real school?" And I'm like, "Well, I hope so. I've been dropping my kids off here for 3 years." That said, how long is a lot of this supposed to take place over? I mean, like from moving the post office, when is that likely to happen?
Probably the beginning of the year.
The beginning of this year?
Yeah, no, January 2018 is when it's going to move. And behind the post office is a series of little bathrooms, public bathrooms.
Okay.
And we're calling this the Post Office Plaza. It's going to provide bicycle parking, because that's a problem.
Of course.
With kids dropping their bikes off all over the lawn in the summertime. So plenty of bicycle parking, ADA accessible toilets, 3 of them, and a total of 7 toilets. Unisex, very beautiful, very high standard toilets. So that's going to happen and be open probably by March of 2018. The Lyceum amphitheater will also open beginning of the year, somewhere in the first couple of months. That's under construction. And then we can start looking at building what's called the Palm Court, which is actually expanding the area in front of the post office with palm trees where the airstreams are. So but the airstreams also have to move temporarily while the construction is going on.
I see.
So that would be a following step that will happen sometime after the season next year.
I see. So if you're a visitor to Seaside, you're going to see some changes in 2018, but this is part of the evolution. This is part of the process. It's always been part of the plan. And one of the things that I think will also surprise people is recognizing that a lot of the businesses that are on the south side of 30A, Perspicacity and Bud and Alleys, and a lot of these businesses, a lot of the buildings that are currently there were always temporary structures, right?
And they've become beloved because of their kind of cuteness and their lovable buildings, because they're very real. You can relate to these buildings, the scale is right. But they were always temporary buildings, and I think the paint is holding them together now after 30 years, because they were built extremely cheaply. They were never meant to last as long as they've lasted. And so new things are coming there. Bud and Alleys is consolidating all its businesses. The three businesses are being consolidated.
Okay.
So that's going to be a big change. The upstairs, the Tarpon Club, is going to be expanded. So you'll have more seating upstairs. So there'll be a tower with handicapped elevators, so disabled can actually access the Tarpon Club, which is
nice.
A change which I think will be really welcomed, and also it's structures under a certain square footage don't have to comply.
Sure.
The best thing to do is to comply so that everyone has access to everything, all the spaces. So that will happen as part of that renovation. There's also a plaza being planned right through the when you go to the archway.
The large arches over,
Yeah. When you go through from there to the Lyceum, there's going to be a plaza which cars can access, but can also be blocked off. So on large events like the Wine Festival, you can move from the central square to the Lyceum grounds without encountering a car.
Right.
So there's a lot of really exciting to make it more pedestrian friendly, which it already is.
But more
really,
so.
Yeah, and to make more public spaces for people to enjoy. So there's a plaza planned right at the center where the Shrimp Shack is and the Bud and Alleys entrances. There's a huge plaza planned for that area, which will face the tower. And you'll be able to, from 30A, you'll be able to see the ocean.
I see.
So that, so these are all really, there's a boardwalk that's coming behind Bud and Alleys. So instead of the traffic moving, the pedestrian traffic moving through the alleyway, Bud and Alleys, the traffic will actually be further south, walking along the edge. So you really experience the Gulf Coast while you're moving through.
So I guess if you are planning to visit in 2018, you're going to see changes, but you've always seen changes here. I mean, it's been a constant evolution, and it will continue to evolve. It's not like everything's going to wrap up here. There has been a vision since Robert Davis first began planning Seaside, and really a lot of people don't realize that where Perspicacity is now, which is the little merchant shop pavilion on the south side, that was really the first central square in a way. That's where they showed community movies. That's where they had community events, and eventually that space was outgrown into the central square. So these changes have been part of the plan all along, and we just wanted to give everybody a heads up and hear straight from one of the sources what sorts of changes are coming and why they're coming, and we want to continue to do this. We would like to kind of, I know you visit every few weeks as part of the work that's going on here, and we want to kind of get updates, and we're going to go around and show you some of the changes that are happening over the next few months, and we want to assure you though that all of these changes are going to become very beloved landmarks and very beloved institutions, and all of your favorite businesses are still going to be here. They're just going to have to, change is the only constant, as they say.
That's absolutely true. And I think I see it all for the better, because we've learned so much more. And earlier we were talking about what have you learned from this. I mean, Seaside's been an incredible experiment for architects and new urbanists and planners. And now some of the things that were groundbreaking in Seaside, like placemaking, your first making a place, are now common terminology in the planning world. Both from the corporate side, like the ULI, the Urban Land Institute, and the kind of planning as APA, the American, they all talk about these principles like they're sort of everyday and common sense, because they are common sense.
But it wasn't common sense 30 years ago.
No, it wasn't. And I think that's really the benefit of this kind of, and Seaside has always stayed one step ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Because it's Robert's ability to treat it as a lab and do this R&D work, and people come here to learn what works and what doesn't work. And then if it doesn't work, we change it and improve upon it. But it has been, for us, it has been an incredible lab for learning on how to plan and make better places for people.
Well, guys, we want to thank Dhiru Thadani for joining us here today. He's the author of Visions of Seaside and is also instrumental not only in Seaside's past, but obviously in the future. And we want to stay in touch. You're welcome to ask questions in the comments section below, and we'll do our best to answer them. And I know Dhiru and his team will also be hopping on there to answer your comments. So thank you, guys, and thank you, Dhiru.
Thanks.
And we look forward to seeing this thing evolve in the months and years ahead.
Great. Well, thank you.